Hello and welcome back to our Bible story time. I'm so glad that you can join us. We're reading today from the Lectionary Story Bible by Ralph Milton. Now, I'm so grateful Ralph has given permission for his stories to be used. Today we're reading an upside down story based on Matthew 25:14-30. Jesus liked to teach people by telling them stories. And we call these stories parables. We've heard a few of them throughout our story times together. Sometimes Jesus would make up funny stories that seemed to turn everything right upside down. One day, Jesus told his friends a really strange story. Here's the story that Jesus told. There was a very rich man who wanted to go on a trip. I need someone to take care of my money, he said to himself, so he called his servants. Here, he said to the first servant, here are 5 bags of money. Take care of them until I get back. Then the rich man called the second servant. Here are 2 bags of money, he said. Take care of them until I get back. The rich man still had some money left over, so he called another servant. Here is 1 bag of money. Take care of it until I get back. And so the rich man went on his trip. The first servant took his 5 bags of money and bought a gold mine. The second servant took his 2 bags of money and bought an oil well. The third servant took his 1 bag of money and hid it safely in the ground. A whole year later, the rich man came back home. He called his 3 servants. I have been away for a long time, he said. Tell me what you have done with my money. The first servant came up and gave the rich man 10 bags of money. Wow, said the rich man, where did you get all that money? I bought a gold mine with your 5 bags of money. I got a lot of gold out of that mine, and so now you have 10 bags of money. That's great, said the rich man. Because you did so well with the 5 bags of money, I'm going to give you a whole lot more money, and you can see what you can do with it. Then the second servant came and gave the rich man 5 bags of money. I took your 2 bags of money and I bought an oil well. The oil well gave me lots of oil to sell, so that now you have 5 bags of money. That's great, said the rich man. Because you did so well with the 2 bags of money, I'm going to give you a whole lot more money and you can see what you can do with it. Then the rich man asked the third servant, I gave you 1 bag of money. What did you do with it? The third servant looked up at the rich man. I knew that you are the kind of man who takes things that don't belong to him. I knew that you often take money away from poor people, so I took your money and I buried it in the ground. Here is your bag of money. What? Yelled the rich man. I gave you 1 bag of money and all you do is give the same bag of money back to me? Why didn't you do something with it so I'd have more money? The third servant was very afraid. But I did what you asked me to do. Get out of here, the rich man yelled. I don't ever want to see you again. You can go work for somebody else. Give me my money and just get out of here. And that's the way it is. The rich people get richer and the poor people get poorer. When Jesus had finished telling his story, he smiled at his friends. They all looked worried. Did you like my story? He asked them. No, I didn't like your story, said Andrew. The third servant did the right thing, and it isn't fair that rich people keep getting more money and the poor people keep getting poorer. Andrew, said Jesus, I'm glad you didn't like my story. I didn't like it either. I get it, said Mary. You were joking with us again, Jesus. You were turning things upside down. Yes, that's right, Mary, said Jesus. I told you a story about the way things are. The poor people who try to do the right thing, who try to live in God's way, often become poor. The rich people who already have far more than they need often take things away from the poor. So my story is about the way things are, said Jesus. But that's not the way they should be. The third servant did the right thing, even though the rich man was very unkind and very unfair. The third servant was living in God's way. Sometimes when we hear stories that Jesus tells, we hear them one way and we think they mean one thing, and really Jesus is saying something totally different and turning everything upside down on its head. I'm glad that you're here to listen to some of these stories and to learn about them and to think about them with me. I'm so glad you could come and join us today, and I hope you'll be here tomorrow too. Bye for now.